Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Between Numbers podcast. This week, huge news. Finally, the New York Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick have agreed a deal. It's only a 1 year deal, and you guys know how much we've been talking about this in the podcast recently. So it's just for 12 million for a year with added-on benefits if they go to the playoffs. Other news for new deals: the Honey Badger, aka Tyrann Mathieu. He got a new deal. Navarro Bowman, the linebacker for San Francisco 49ers, got a new deal. We're going to talk later on the podcast about some camp holdouts, including some high-ranked draft picks this year. Nick Foles has found a new team after being released from the Los Angeles Rams. And finally, we're going to get onto a little bit of fantasy chat and a little surprise for you guys. If you guys like fantasy football, we might be doing a league this year. That's surprise over, I guess. So that wasn't very good. Well, how's it going, Will?
Good man, you ruined the surprise. You told everyone. Now no one's
Surprise
gonna
straight
listen.
away.
Now no one's gonna listen to the end because they know the big reveal.
Yeah, shout out to that one person who watched who watched our
Yeah, we're on YouTube now.
yeah, we have a YouTube
Subscribe,
channel, guys, now. Between the
so
numbers.
we can
It's
see
not.
how long you guys actually listen.
Well, yeah, it's true. Let me just go on to it, actually. I'm gonna go find out that one person. It was from the States, so shout out to that one
Shout
person.
out
I'm
to the
guessing it
guys.
could be like someone that we know.
Maybe it was
But
Jay
if it's
Cutler.
if it's Jay Cutler, that would make my dream come true. Last, I don't think it
Maybe
is,
he was.
but
Maybe he was so sad about what the Bennett brothers said about him that he just needed to take some solace and a bit of comfort in
uh-huh.
us praising him.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, just remember that, yeah, so basically we're on YouTube now. We'll get on to some other stuff later. So whoever that one person was, who, that 97% of you who are from the States, whoever watched it for 36 minutes, sorry, love you. Shout out. It's one person doing it, oh my god. So it's free, okay. It's just one person who listened to it. It's definitely someone that we know.
And
Unless whoever this one person is a huge fan.
welcome to the new section of the podcast that we will now call analysing who listens to the podcast.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, we'll move on from that. You guys don't really want to know about that. So, I think the big news, obviously, this week, I think it happens... All these deals seem to happen the day after we finish recording, or, like, the day we finish recording. Like, we'll get something, and we'll talk about something, and then big news will happen. But anyways, this Ryan Fitzpatrick deal finally signed with the New York Jets, just coming in with with training camp just about to start. So it's just a 1 year deal worth $12 million, and I think it's a pretty solid. I think everyone wanted this deal to happen. It's just how much he was going to get paid, and it was pretty much going to happen, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah, you felt like an inevitability that the deal was going to happen. But then there were a few moments when you genuinely thought like, all right, Geno Smith and Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're kind of the same kind of player. You both know what you have with them. They're solid starters. Geno might be tinkering more on the side where he's going to turn the ball over more. And people were kind of thinking, what if the Jets just kind of roll with Geno? And Geno seemed pretty happy with it, but Mike McCadden has kind of thrown a curveball here. And pretty much saved his offseason and put the Jets right back into contention with this Fitzpatrick deal. And don't forget about the Mo Wilkerson deal a couple of weeks ago as well.
Yeah, so definitely spending the money which they kind of need to do with just to keep playoff hopes alive. And to be honest, this is probably one of the first seasons in however many years it's been that the Patriots. It's a very big chance of knocking off the Patriots this year. I mean, they don't have Tom Brady for 4 games.
There's genuinely like a feeling that more people are thinking, okay, the Patriots, there is a chance that they could really regress this season. That they don't know what they've got in Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, the rumors out of camp and the stuff I've been seeing is that Jimmy Garoppolo seems to be handling the offense pretty well, which is good. But you still don't know what's going to happen when you switch the lights on and throw him in there under center. He's never played. Well, he's only played like 15
Some
or 20
preseason
snaps.
games. Mm.
He's played about 20 snaps in the NFL in a regular season game.
Yeah.
And I'm also slightly worried. I wasn't really. I've always kind of taken the Miami off-season hype. It's kind of phony that they always get out there and sign some flashy players. But the stuff that Adam Gase has been talking about and the way he's been talking about Ryan Tannehill is generally going to be feeling like, all right, he seems to be actually making sense here. That he's saying, all right, we're not going to enforce a specific system on Ryan Tannehill. They're going to take his best attributes and work on those. That they're going to try their very hardest to get Ryan Tannehill to do what he's good at instead of just imposing a system on him. And I think that's a really good way of developing quarterbacks like that have struggled. Um, and so it could be a sign that the Dolphins could actually play well next year. I think the Jets, now that they've signed back all their players, will be a threat again. So people down in Foxborough are going to be scratching their heads and wondering, are we going to get out of this one? But I still right. I'm not going to put the Patriots down as the favourites, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots just win the division easily again.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, everyone will be like pretty much expecting that. Really, it's one of the divisions which has been the easiest to call in the past 7 years. It's been now. But I'm looking forward to this season with the AFC East. Hopefully, well, I mean, I want to see someone else win it. Sorry, Will. I like a few of the teams in there, just because I like them because they're kind of like slight underdogs who might do all right. Like they could win. They like if they have a good season like they did last season with the Jets, that they can get into the playoffs, but they're never really going to go that far. Like I'm not saying any of the other AFC East teams are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think that any of them are really kind of near to that.
I think the Jets apart from the Patriots, are probably the only other team in that division that right now I would say, all right, that's a team that I can see going to the postseason. The Dolphins are right there. If all these rumours that Tannehill's playing well and the defense is coming together are true, maybe, but they still haven't shown that they're a playoff team.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I always feel that I'm such a sucker for these for the same teams each year coming around for they're going to do better this year. And I always feel that one of them is always the Chicago Bears, obviously Jay Cutler MVP this season. I always feel that the Jets and I bought in hugely to the Miami Dolphins last season. At the start of the season, when everyone was like, that defense is going to be unreal. It really should have been. No idea what happened to that. And then I didn't really buy into the Buffalo one, even though that was a very everyone really there were a lot of people pushing that with Buffalo, but I mean I always thought that the Dolphins would do well, even though they're not really that great a team. Still got Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, which is a slight issue. But then you always hear the things where he was working out with Peyton Manning at the start of the summer. Will Peyton Manning have somehow given him the keys that it needs for him to go and take the AFC West? I mean the AFC East. I mean,
yeah,
I always feel that's the case, but it's really obvious whenever Tom Brady comes back. I mean, the Patriots turn it on at the last half of the season, and especially in December football, the Patriots are so difficult to beat.
Yeah, and I think they also have an ability they could eat in Week 5 when Tom Brady's suspension finishes. That game that week is the Cleveland Browns. No disrespect to the Cleveland Browns, that's probably one of the big guaranteed wins in the NFL. That they could even make the decision that, all right, if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well for 4 games, they can take, because if when Tom Brady's suspended for the first 4 games, he won't be allowed to partake in practice as well. So if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well, they let him play the week as well and let Brady come into that week and take some first team reps and ease him in slowly, which could be a possibility.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I always feel that. I mean, for the first team reps thing, I feel that it was going to be really interesting to see what they do in the preseason games.
Yeah,
as obviously it's always the case that the second half of the third preseason game and then the fourth preseason game, the last one, it's always the players on the cusp of making the team playing in those games. However, I feel that Jimmy Garoppolo needs as much time as he can muster, which he can get or muster really, and he'll be playing throughout all those games. But it's not the sort of people for him, he can't really be playing with the backups. He needs to be playing with the starters, the ones he's going to be able to throw to, and all that. But then Tom Brady also needs the reps for when he comes back, because he can't come back in week 5 and then be average, out of touch really. I went to one of the first games of the football season over here last night, and it's clear to see at the start of the season some people are just out of like their touch isn't as good, their control, their head isn't in the right place, and whenever Tom Brady comes back, he needs to be. His head will be in the right place, 100%, 100%, because it's Tom
Yeah.
Brady. But like I feel that the Patriots and Tom Brady, they'll lose an early game, and they always warm up. They always get a lot better. But yeah, as I said, December football to the Patriots, but he needs to come in like guns blazing straight off the bat because I don't think they're going to do that well in the first 4 games.
I think they'll struggle in the first game, and it really depends how these new look Jets and Dolphins teams and play on whether they'll get wins. But I mean, I still feel optimistic because I like what they're saying about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I've seen him play in a couple of preseason games and obviously take a few snaps in the regular season, and he looks good. He looks like a solid starter, and I'm excited and optimistic.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, just a little side note there for if you want to see how we think the NFL season is really going to pan out, especially those 4 games the Patriots won. I'm on holiday for next week, so actually you're gonna get a little bit. We just talked beforehand about this. Get a little bit of Will. So basically, what's gonna happen this week is next week I'm on holiday, and week after that Will's on holiday. So we're both gonna do this little prediction thing. We're gonna go through all the games in the season basically, and then pick who else we have coming out at the top. And I think it's gonna be drastically different to see what you reckon the Patriots are gonna do.
Yeah.
And then because obviously we're both quite. I mean, I don't think the Panthers are going 16-0, so obviously I'll give them a couple losses in that. But I mean, I don't think you're going to go every single game for the Patriots is going to be a win. But I've done this. I did this the other week. This the prediction thing, and you realize how many times you think the worst team in the division in the league is going to lose.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows I'm not high on the Lions at all. Like my predictions always have the Lions going 2-14, and the Titans not doing that well, especially with how the AFC South is going to be picked up. But it's always a difficult one. But I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what your ones are actually.
I think we will see a definite, maybe the possibility of a Browns Lions Super Bowl.
Oh, Browns, Lions, yeah, that's such an issue because the AFC North is going to be. I reckon it's going to be so good this year. I reckon the Browns will be better, but it's just that they got to play such good teams twice, home and away in all their divisions. So there's already 6 losses. Maybe they can get a win against one of them for a home game, but it's so bad. I've seen I just steamroll some teams. I'm like, it's them. They're gonna lose.
Yeah, and then you never realise that there's no easy game in the NFL. Right earlier, I was saying that I'm pretty sure the Patriots are going to beat the Browns. You never know. I mean, this is the top players in the country playing in the NFL who are all the best. So there is the ability that teams can pull off upset victories against anyone, and it's important to remember that there is absolutely no easy game, and if you do come in with that kind of naivety to every game, then you will lose.
Yeah, actually, in one prediction, I'm pretty sure there's some game which is it's either the Titans versus the Browns, or the San Francisco 49ers versus the Browns, and I think it's in week 12 or something. And I got to that week, and I looked at it, and I was like, this is such a bad game, but it's a game that I kind of really want to watch because hopefully you'll see some really experimental plays in that game. Obviously you got Chip Kelly with the 49ers and same with the Browns with RG3. I would be really excited to see that game. I mean, it's going to have no implications whatsoever on anything apart from the draft order, but it'll be exciting to see how what plays they make and everything. But you go through some games and you see some team the San Francisco 49ers playing every other team in their division. You're like, there's nothing really much they can do about it.
Is that a Thursday night game? Because that's the kind of game that I can imagine being on the Thursday night, week 15.
I can't remember. It was. I can try and find it, but it was so stupid. It was just the stupidest game, which is no one's gonna want to see. And I was just like, okay, fine.
All right, should we move on to another contract, which is one guy by the name of Tyrann Mathieu. He is also known as the Honey Badger, who is coming off a torn ACL, but has now signed. He's had a reconstructed deal, which is kind of bumped up his pay quite significantly. And he is also, so it's a contract worth 62.5 million, with I think 40 million in guarantees.
Mm.
Um, and it basically means that he becomes the highest safety in the league, highest paid safety in the league. Um, so which is good for him. He had some struggles at LSU. He had a lot of off the field issues, but the he's been pretty good since he came into the NFL. He's been one of the kind of the him and Pat Peterson have been the heartbeat of that Cardinals defense.
Definitely.
And I'm happy for him. But I do think I call this now that he'll be the highest paid safety, but the player, I think in about a year's time, I think that record's going to be broken when Cam Chancellor signs a new deal.
Yeah, I mean, like Cam Chancellor had that holdout for what better part of like last season, the start of last season, really, when he didn't play the first 4 games and the Seahawks didn't play that well. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works out, really, because I mean, he only got a new deal like last year. I can't remember how long that deal went on for. Maybe it was just an improved payment, maybe improved pay for like the remaining years of the contract. But I'm not pretty sure that.
He got an
that
improved payment, but he hasn't signed a full-on new deal yet.
oh, okay, cool, cool.
And the current contract he's on has him under contract until 2017. So I think next season he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So that's going to be interesting to see what he's going to end up getting paid there, because I think Cam Chancellor is the best safety in the league, so he will be paid as the best safety in the league.
I mean, like he's a. Yeah, I reckon Cam Chancellor's pretty much up there. I mean, I reckon you can just like interchange these two guys, but just the deal that he's getting like, so it's a 5-year deal, $62.5 million extension. So he's getting more than $12 million a year, which is pretty crazy, and it's $40 million in guarantees. So basically, he's got to work out that $22.5 million that he doesn't need in guarantee, but that's just mental. Like
it's a lot of money, and I also think it's a huge risk contract by the Cardinals, because Tyrann Mathieu has been injured has had a major injury the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and he's been out of the playoffs. Yeah,
and as good a player as he is, they've got to kind of think, all right, we're paying him a lot of money, and there's a good chance that he might pop a like injury. Oh, that sounds like pop an injury. That he might pick up an injury halfway through the season, over the next couple of years, again and again. And they don't know how he's going to come back from a torn ACL. I mean, you see lots of players who come back and they're not the same player. So
yeah, well, see, I mean, if you watch the All or Nothing series, I mean, you see him get that injury, and then you see like the basically the rehab he kind of goes through. And there's a bit where him and Carson Palmer are on like bikes in the gym, and then, like obviously Carson Palmer's been through like a huge injury. Like, did he get? I think he torn his ACL or something. I think he might have done something like that. But he was like, yeah, like by now it's like December, so he was like, yeah, you might be back before like maybe into preseason training camp, and it was just like, damn, they're out for so long. That's so long without.
Yeah.
And just like missing out on the team's big games. Like he missed out on the team's run to the AFC Championship.
NFC Championship.
So yeah, the NFC Championship. And just like he's such an integral part of that defense, and like I think without him they definitely struggled.
Their defense does definitely struggle without him. But he has got the money that he's deserved, that despite the injuries.
I don't think anyone's saying that he's been overpaid. Really, everyone's just been like, he is the top 3 safeties, and like without a doubt in the NFL, and it's just like, well, he needs to be paid as such, basically.
And it was an important deal for them to get done, because the issue with Tyrann Mathieu, they had this issue with him before, that because he plays safety and corner, if you want to franchise tag him, you don't really know if you tag him as a safety or a corner, and it does make a difference in the pay.
Tag him as a safety, yeah, definitely.
And then he gets paid a lot less, so I think they're quite happy that they've been able to get this deal done, so they don't have these issues if they want to tag him.
Yeah, speaking of the like that, when they got a tough division, really, and then all that division, another deal has been signed for the 49ers, who extended the contract of Navarro Bowman. So he had a 3-year deal already, which is just crazy that he had 3 years left on his deal, and then 49ers went and were like, okay, you're amazing, we're gonna keep you forever, a 4-year extension. So his contract's now for 7 years. So and it's got £67.5 million dollars, which is up by like 20 million. And so he gets 20 million, like 20 million is guaranteed. So like obviously not that much is guaranteed on this half. I mean, he's obviously one who's been stricken by injury before, but like it just I think with like he's one of the only bright sparks in the San Francisco team, really.
That's why I think it was important to re-sign him, because he's about the only integral part of that great defense that the 49ers had when they went to the Super Bowl. They had guys like Patrick Willis in it as well. And he's about the only like recognizable name left in the roster, apart from like maybe Kaepernick.
Yeah, Joe Stanley's still there. I reckon. Is Joe Stanley still there?
He is still there.
Is he retired yet? I mean, like
No, he's still chilling there. He oh yeah, you always forget that Joe, like someone like Joe Staley is still there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, he could be there.
Offensive tackles.
He's still the
Yeah.
the 49ers. Yeah, I mean, I reckon for the 49ers, it's just that's like he's a building block for them to hopefully rebuild their franchise around. I mean, like 7 years, you got a long time to change your to build around him basically. I mean, if you're hoping he's gonna be there for a while, but I mean, he's still one of the top linebackers in the NFL right now, so I think it's a pretty good deal for the 49ers. They definitely need to keep with him. Like, I mean, clearly he loves it there, so.
Yeah, and I'd say he's kind of on the same level as someone like Bobby Wagner, but I think he gets less attention than Bobby Wagner because he's playing for the 49ers
team.
Yeah,
it's
terrible.
like him and Levante David, who's the linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I really rate Levante David, and just because he's on the Buccaneers and they haven't been as good as they have been recently, but he is just one of the most versatile and I think one of the best linebackers in the league, really. But it's just that like he like leads the leads in like tackling, just because the Buccaneers, their defense is always, it seems to be like on the pitch a lot. I mean, obviously hadn't been obviously with Jameis Winston, sorry, went out my head there. Obviously he's become back, so obviously they're going to get some more time on offense, but the defense, like he's like the star there. There's him, and then Jared McCoy up front. I think that's just a nice, but Levante David, I feel, as Navarro Bowman, they just never really get the recognition that I'd feel they deserve, really.
Well, I mean, Navarro Bowman's gone to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I feel that's like the only reason. Maybe Levante David is the one like super underrated here, just because the Buccaneers haven't really done that much in a while.
Yeah.
So I think because before we won the last three, I'm pretty sure it was the Saints, the Falcons, and the Saints or something. So the Buccaneers haven't won the NFC South in a fair while.
Yeah, maybe it's their turn this year.
Hopefully not. Although like the Panthers' schedule this year isn't actually that great, but.
To be fair, I don't think they will, because, as we were saying before the podcast, I think with the Panthers are probably the biggest sure thing to win their division.
Yeah, so I posed this question to Will, which is just basically like, who's the most... You pick anyone to win their division, who is basically the most likely to win their division to win the division, basically. I mean, you got all the teams you're like, they're definitely going to the playoffs. Like the Arizona Cardinals, they're definitely going to the playoffs. As the Seattle Seahawks, definitely going to the playoffs. But which one of them's going to win the division?
No.
And then thinking about that, like obviously you got the Patriots there, but they're pretty strong. I mean, like we're talking about how the AFC East is getting so much better, and like how this could be a year of upset for them. And then with the AFC North, obviously the Steelers are heavy favourites for that, but Cincinnati Bengals, and I really rate the Ravens this year as well. And then the AFC South, who knows what's happening there? Like
maybe like I don't know, the AFC South all merge into one team.
I don't even know how many players of the Titans will be there. Maybe Delaney Walker. That's about it. But even like the AFC West, people don't think the Broncos still might be good next season. The Chiefs, everyone's expecting it to, but then the Raiders are getting big. NFC East, no idea. Then the NFC North, there's the Packers and the Vikings. Either of those teams could win.
Hey, the Lions are still there.
No. I have like the Lions is literally one that, like them, the 49ers, the Titans, and the Browns.
Seriously? The Lions have a franchise quarterback.
No, in the same way that like the Dolphins have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but they have a franchise quarterback who's gone to the playoffs.
I but Megatron went to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Their team, I just don't see the Lions doing it. I don't even know why. I just don't like the Lions at all.
all right,
Like for
fine.
this year, like I know it's not like I don't like the Lions, which I don't like them going to the playoffs. Like I just don't think they're a very good team. I don't
That's
think
fine.
Matt Stafford is. I've ranted enough about Matt Stafford. I'm not going to get into it now. But
Should we move on to some camp holdouts?
yeah, go for it. Actually,
So there were some quality camp holdouts to start off in camp. The most significant one still going on at the moment is Joey Bosa, the rookie who was picked third overall in the draft from out of Ohio State. He's a defensive end. He still hasn't signed his rookie deal. The issue is over the guaranteed money. I think Bosa wants it all at once, and the Chargers want to have it spread so they can have some just in case like the deal screws up and Bosa doesn't play well or like they have to cut him. So they kind of want that assurance. And Joey Bosa isn't his team isn't budging on it, and he's refusing to go to camp, which is pretty interesting because we haven't had a camp holdout for a long time. It was something that used to happen quite a lot, and then they introduced the new deal with the players, which introduced a cap on how much you could spend on rookies. So it basically meant that if you got picked in the first round, you knew exactly how much you were going to get paid, and the only thing that you could argue over was guaranteed money and when you get it. And that happens occasionally, but it's never really happened on this scale where, yeah, he hasn't been, and it's starting to cause a bit of trouble in San Diego that a few of the players, a few of the offensive linemen, King Dumlap was one of them who came out and said that he he's worried that Bosa isn't in camp because he's missing valuable rep time, and he has to learn the entire defense, and he hasn't been in the building at all. And then Philip Rivers was reacted slightly better, I think, which was the way that the players union want the players to react to this situation, which is basically stay neutral because you're meant to support the players if they want to get their contract. But it's definitely some difficulty, and I think if this goes on for at least another week, I think you start to push the panic button in San Diego because, yeah, I mean this is a problem. And then the Chargers aren't a franchise that are known to screwing up in the draft. I mean
mm.
they had the whole thing with Ryan Leaf, who they drafted second after Peyton Manning, which is probably the biggest draft bust of all time, and the Eli Manning debacle where he refused to go and play for them despite them having the first overall pick. So this isn't something that the Chargers are completely unknown to, but interesting. Like there is a scenario that if Bosa holds out, I think till November or October, not till November, I think he then becomes
Mm.
ineligible for the year, and therefore has to re-enter the draft next year.
Oh wow, that's really weird.
Yeah,
Because I know the whole thing with if you get franchise tagged and you don't sign a new tag, you can sit out that year and then become a free
yeah,
agent at the end of next year. But like, you have to sit out a whole year. And you're just like, fuck's sake, like, come on.
yeah. And I think
I want to play some football for my like future boss, I guess.
I think if Bosa if Bosa does just sit out and go into the draft next year, he's not going to go third overall.
It's true. I mean, I think he was one of the because he was predicted to slide a long way down, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see out. But I mean, I'm not really sure what would happen because it'd be like you already had like you think he's good, but he hasn't been playing for a year though. Anyway, just some other camp holdouts. I mean, there's supposedly some camp holdout with like K1 Short of the Carolina Panthers. So basically, K1 Short didn't. So he was at the. This is the mandatory mini camp on Monday. This is like a couple weeks back. But he didn't they didn't go to the two final weeks of OTAs. But seeing as those practices like OTAs aren't mandatory, so it's still not really a holdout. But I think he's saying like he wants a new deal. Like, come on, guys. And then I think for the Panthers, it's definitely a thing we need to pay him.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we either got to pay him or start Luatelli. So come on, lads, let's get some deals on. I think
Also, DeAndre Hopkins as well held up for a day.
for a day,
Um,
yes, that's the type of holdout I like. I'll hold out for a day and be like, come on, give me a new deal. But it's kind of like it's the message he's sending is give me a new deal, but I'm not gonna put myself above the team.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think it's just like he's basically been like, come on, like I do need a new deal, but I still want to play I still want to play, and I still want to get to the level that I need to be at to the start of the season. And for DeAndre Hopkins, I think it's really important. But obviously, with like their with the with them getting who did they get? No, Will Fuller went to who did they get in the draft? The Texans.
Will Fuller.
Well, it was Will Fuller. Okay.
It was
Yeah.
Will Fuller. But I think
So,
he's probably also feeling that Brock Osweiler turns up on the door and gets a huge contract for playing 5 games. DeAndre Hopkins pulls off the season of his life playing with 5 different starting quarterbacks who were all below par.
yeah.
And pretty much drags, along with JJ Watt, drags the Texans kicking and screaming into the playoffs. And I think he kind of feels like he wants some kind of reward for that.
I mean, I think it was just like he does deserve. He's obviously one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, not sorry, wide receivers. My bad. I mean, maybe he is a good quarterback. I don't know. But I always feel that for him, everyone has him. I mean, you might have him quite high in your fantasy draft later.
I
We're gonna
never
have to wait
know
and
that.
see. But I think DeAndre Hopkins is definitely one of the premier wide receivers in the game. I mean, I saw this. There was this weird article which I saw the other day, which was if in the Olympics, which is coming, which is actually starting later on today, actually, being the 5th of August, the opening ceremony. In the Olympics, if there was an NFL team, America's team would have, and then it listed all the players. I think DeAndre Hopkins was like wide receiver number 3 or something. And it was
Okay.
Odell Beckham, Julio Jones. Oh no, it was AJ Green and then DeAndre Hopkins. So I think he was like one of the reserve ones, but
Who are the quarterbacks?
it was Cam Newton. For,
Cam Newton. What about
yeah,
and then
Cam
what
Newton,
backup?
Big Ben, and Tony, and
Big Ben?
your man, Tom Brady. I think it was no, sorry, yeah, Cam Newton, no, Aaron Rodgers, and then Aaron Rodgers, and then Tom Brady, yeah. I think I had Todd Gurley as their start running back, and I was like, been in there like the thing for once. I know it was Adrian Peterson, and then it was an interesting read to go through, but it's weird. Obviously, Justin Tucker, number 1 kicker,
Yeah.
the man,
The
the legend, Justin Tucker.
The guy didn't he I think my favourite, completely off topic, one of my favourite Justin Tucker moments was after he got a kick last season. It was a really big one. He got it to win the game. I've forgotten who they were playing. But then he did like the what's that Drake song where he's dancing in a box?
Or the Hotline Bling one.
Yeah, he did like a Hotline Bling dance after he scored.
Oh
It was,
no, terrible. Oh,
Because-
I think Justin Tucker does a lot of that. Actually, you know who like this is off topic as well, but you know who I actually really like what they do on their off season? It's like Julian Edelman posts some funny stuff on his YouTube account.
Julian Edelman has YouTube.
Yeah, he's got you. Actually, I really like it. I mean, it's just usually him. Just like he has this one series where like he just interviews other members of his team, and
Okay.
he's like one of the questions is just like who do you think is the most handsome punt returner in the National Football League, and then he just looks off into the distance, and then it's kind of like and then the person's there, just like this happens every week, and like. I think it's pretty funny. He's got a good one. There's him and Amendola did like a cops, like them running around the street to like Boston. I can't remember what they're doing, but it was so dumb. It was just the stupidest thing. But it's quite funny though.
I want to hang out with them in Boston.
Oh yeah, I would definitely hang out with Julian. He seems like a cool guy.
I found this article, which is quite funny. It was written in 2012, and it was them predicting out of who was in the NFL in 2012 who was going to be all pro in 2016 and be in the US NFL Olympic team. And quarterback, we have Cam Newton, which is they worked out. I'm just going to pick out some of the interesting ones, but at running back they have Trent Richardson.
Okay.
They obviously got but at tight end they've got Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham, which that seems.
Yeah, I think it was Gronkowski, and then I think the backup was Greg Olsen.
Yeah, and then they got Mike Wallace and AJ Green as wide receivers, which AJ Green is kind of, you could see that. Mike Wallace probably less so. And then on defense, they got a lot of guys who who are definitely talent. They got guys like Jason Pierre-Paul, Chandler Jones, and Donna Sue, Von Miller, Alden Smith, Patrick Willis, Pat Peterson. But then at cornerback they have Jimmy Smith, and then at safety they've got Louis Delmas, who
Mm-hmm.
played for Detroit, and
Do,
Mark
do, do, do,
Barron.
do, you want me to, do you want me to tell you who I got the other one here, the ones which
Yeah.
would be predicted. So who did you have at who they have at defensive ends?
Defensive end they had Jason Pierre-Paul and Chandler Jones.
So they got JJ Watt and Mohamed Wilkinson, and with the reserves is Michael Bellett and Carlos Dunlap.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
At defensive tackle they got Sue and Darius.
Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's
It's
better.
probably the two best in the league, with K1
Who-
Short and Gino Atkins as their
Who
linebacker.
have they got? Who have they got at cornerback? I got Pat Peterson and Jimmy Smith.
Pat P and Richard Chowan.
Yeah, that's better.
And then free safety they got Earl Thomas. And then strong safety they got Cam Chancellor.
Who is the running back again?
So I think where's the okay, here we go. Running backs Adrian Peterson, and reserves are Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell.
Your team is way better than mine.
Yeah, so the quarterback is Cam Newton, Tom Brady, then Aaron Rodgers. Fullback Patrick DeMarco. I mean, they're doing pretty well there. And then wide receivers Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., AJ Green and John Hopkins are their reserves. But yeah, they got some interesting picks for their offensive line, which isn't great. But obviously, main man Justin Tucker making that. Oh no, kicker's Steve Gostkowski. What is going on here?
Obviously, Justin Tucker had a few difficulties, maybe.
They got punty Johnny Hecker. I mean, like, is he even gonna? Is he still at the He's still at the Rams, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Should we move on?
Yeah, that was definitely a huge.
What do we do next? We're doing fantasy next.
Nick Foles has a new team, and then we're
Oh
going to
yeah, Nick Foles.
But we're only just going to go over this. So Nick Foles, obviously released by the Los Angeles Rams. He is signed back with the head coach who drafted him back in 2012, Andy Reid, and so he is back with he's now with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, hopefully I think the aim there is that he's played in that system before with Andy Reid, and he can hopefully produce some of the stuff which impressed him in that 2013 season he had, where it was just he came in half through the season and was unreal.
Yeah.
But that's basically all I really was going to say about Nick Foles.
I was going to say that I really enjoyed this because obviously we haven't spoken much about this, but you probably heard about in the news that the Cowboys no longer have a backup quarterback, and that's quite important for them because the backup will play at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think it's going to be Geno Smith or Josh McCown who takes that. But the thing I really like about Nick Foles signing for the Chiefs is it was a huge screw you to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys because I think they were pretty sure that they could get Nick Foles and they were talking it up, and then the Chiefs come in at the last minute and take him away, and Jerry Jones wasn't too happy, and I'm like, yeah, screw you, you don't get everything you want.
I mean, I think with hopefully Nick Foles can repeat what he did in the first season with in his second season in the 2013. When we went to the Pro Bowl, he's a Pro Bowler. Nick
He
Foles.
went to the Pro Bowl in 2013, but he also had last season, which was pretty embarrassing.
But yeah, that's true.
Did you know that he played high school football with Justin Tucker?
Did he? Mate, Justin Tucker's such a great guy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he had to play with Nick Foles. He must have been like,
Let's get Justin Tucker on the show.
oh, that's the dream. Eric
Should
Weddle
we-
and Justin Tucker. Let's just go to
should we-
Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we add that onto the list of
Yeah.
players
Obviously,
who?
number one was Jay Cutler.
Yeah. Obviously,
And
we,
then, Justin
we
Tucker.
ha-
Obviously,
we ha-
I want Eric Weddle. Who would you get as your choice? Anyone?
I'd love to get Gronkowski on the show and Edelman.
Yeah, I actually Edelman. Actually both of them they're quite cool.
Yeah.
But I think the Eric Weddle thing. I don't even know what I'd say. I'd just be like, you're amazing. And then
Obviously,
just, like-
we have such a huge queue of players trying to get on the show at the moment, so we're going to have to disappoint a few people.
Yeah. Obviously, all the other players like Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's out. Actually, do you know who I actually want out on? Who was on Hard Knocks last season? Charles James the second. He was great chat.
He'd be quite cool.
He was great chat on Hard Knocks. I'd definitely get him on. And he's reached that point where you know, on the top 100 where they get players to talk about them, he was talking about every single defensive back, every wide receiver. He'd be like, they were like, yes, everyone loves this guy, and that's what they want on the show.
He's pretty cool. We'll put him on the list, and we'll get our contacts around. I just got to go. Des Bryant keeps calling me, and I really don't want him on the show. So
That's right, man. He's going to be like, was it a catch? And then like he'll just leave.
We'll just replay the video over and over.
All
right,
I'd
let's
like
do
to get on some fantasy chat. Like, tell everyone the big news that we have, even though I didn't tell everyone at the start of the podcast.
All right, so we have set up a Between the Numbers fantasy league. We set up one so far, which is a 10-man league. It's on the official NFL Fantasy League
10
website.
people, wow.
And I will post the league is called Between the Numbers. Later on today, I'm going to post all of the details of how you can join it with the password and things like that. The draft is on the 28th of August. So keep that as a red letter day in your diary.
What date isn't even that? I'm putting it in my diary right now.
Yeah, 28th.
Not my diary, in the calendar on my phone. I don't have it diary, guys. Oh, it's a
Who
Sunday
still has
night.
it? Yeah. So please. And if by some cool reason we have oversubscription into the league, we'll just set up a second league. Pretty much simple, but yeah, do join. It should be.
Are we going to be in the? Are we going to be in both leagues?
I'm in the first league. Maybe
I mean,
like.
we
don't know.
do they want like? I don't think we're going to get 10, but unless we post on a forum being like join our league.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, we get 10.
We need 8 people because we've got us.
But yeah, but like if we start a second one, are we going to be in that second one as well?
Well, we'll see how many how many people want to join.
Okay. We can think about this.
And do let us know if through social media if you were unable to join because the league is full, and we'll see how many people
Speaking
are
of
unable
social media, we have an Instagram account which I had no idea we had.
Yeah, at Between the Numbers 1, 2, 3.
We've got everything.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram.
All links will be in the description if you're watching on Facebook. I mean, not on Facebook, on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook,
Maybe
all our links will be there. We have a SoundCloud, but that will come in the start of the season. We've got Twitter. We've got Instagram. Yeah,
maybe that's the next stage. We live. You can do that like live streaming off Facebook. We like live stream our podcast on Facebook.
What's going on? They can see all the technical difficulties you come across.
Yeah, and they can see the high tech studio we always sit in.
Oh yeah, because we're in a high tech studio right now. I mean, I'm moving back to the high tech studio I have up in Scotland. So
I'll be moving to my Burnley.
So we'll see then. But anyway, so what for our fantasy chat? What have we got for the team? What have we got for our followers? I don't even know if we have any really, but having this one person in the States, shout out.
Yeah, we love this guy. We want to come see you in the States, man.
I'm pretty sure it's my flatmate, but.
All right, we're gonna do our top 5 best picks, because there's so many players who keep getting thrown around there. We're gonna tell you each of us are gonna tell you who the top 5.
Who we're rating as top 5 is who you should be picking if you've got number 1 to number 5. And
then after that, we got top 5 kind of sleeper picks, the stuff you wouldn't really think about, or kind of players who are on the cusp.
On the cusp, and maybe they'll come in down the season, and they might be a big call.
Last season, I took Doug Martin in the 5th round, and that was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously number 1, you should definitely everyone pick Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
That's pretty much given. So he's at the top of both of our lists, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's at the top of my list of potential number 1 picks.
I actually have 2 Chicago Bears players in my sleepers list. All this chat, I actually do have Chicago Bears players, and it's not obviously it's a sleeper, so it's not Jay Cutler because Jay Cutler is obviously number 1.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first with your top 5 picks?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Well, for me, I think the number 1 pick is pretty obvious if you have. This is in the standard form of the league. It's not PPR league. This is even though it's not PPR league, I reckon Antonio Brown is number 1 who you take.
Really, despite all the injuries.
It's just that. Well, what was it? Had 10 touchdowns last season, over 1,800 yards, something. It was just you need to. If you don't get him in if you don't have him in your team, well, obviously everyone's gonna have him, but I think he's the best player to have. Like if you have number one pick, you're not picking Antonio Brown. I can see him sliding to number two. That is it.
Yeah.
I reckon that's number one is Antonio Brown. And then maybe you drop him out for number two. So obviously I've got number two here. So I've got a more conventional one, a running back. The next two picks are running backs. I've got Todd Gurley in at number two, and then Adrian Peterson at number three. I think you're pretty safe with all of these picks. I mean, but it's just for me. I reckon with Todd Gurley, I'm expecting Minnesota to pass the ball a bit more. I reckon Todd Gurley will get a hell of a load more yards and more carries, especially if they're picking Jared Goff as their quarterback, and they're going to have to rely on Todd Gurley a lot more. I think with the Rams, and that's pretty self-explanatory. And then at number four, I've got another wide receiver, which is Odell Beckham Jr. And I'm pretty sure that, I mean, if you're picking, I think he's the second best wide receiver in fantasy. He's just like the number one target for the Giants, and we all know how pass heavy they are. I mean, it's just like if he's not in the top five, he's got to be. I've got him at number four. I reckon just with what Eli Manning just throws to him, and then just puts it up there and hopefully with the Giants' defense being better, they should have more time for him on the field, and more receptions, more yards, more touchdowns. And like he can only get better, really. And then I've got number five. I've got Arizona Cardinals running back David Johnson, because he runs the ball like a beast, and he just is a beast.
And
he
catches the ball in the backfield really well as well. Like he does everything.
He does, yeah. He bases everything you really want everyone to do, and just I mean, he's like a question. You could have him number one running back if you wanted to, but I reckon he could be everyone could be him. Everyone should pick him. If those two players, actually all of these running backs, you could flip in between them. I would rather have Todd Gurley simply because of the having a rookie quarterback, really. So he's going to get the hand off a lot more. But any of those five players, you're doing well. But Antonio Brown's got to be number one for me.
All right. I've got a few. My top five is actually quite different. All right. At five, I've got David Johnson.
No way! Oh my god, same so far.
Yeah, amazing. I was going to put him higher, but I think I need to see something more. Like you don't know, because it was his rookie season last year, so he could have a slump.
Yeah.
And then at number four, I've got Adrian Peterson. That despite the fact that he might be getting older, he's going to be playing inside for all of his home games, and he always plays better inside. And he's still by far the best running back in the league. So. Mm-hmm. You get that spot. And then at number three, I have Cam Newton.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, picking a quarterback early.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Newton is the kind of guy who you could pick in the first round and pick in like the top five, and he won't regret it because he's going to put up a monster amount of points. I mean, last year he put up 389 points throughout the whole season. I mean, he had 35 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns. So he's pretty much like a machine on the amount of points he puts up. And I think he's going to be just as good next season. And it's a risky pick, but I think it'll pay off.
Yeah.
And then at two, I have Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's good. I think he's going to be even better this year now that the Giants have signed a couple other receivers to kind of take away the pressure off Odell Beckham, and he has even another off season to perfect his relationship with Eli Manning. And then at number one, I have Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, interesting. Yeah. No Antonio Brown, anywhere near that.
I'd have Antonio Brown at maybe like 6. I'm just worried about all those injuries and suspensions in Pittsburgh, because if he doesn't have Martavis Bryant, if he doesn't have Le'Veon Bell, everyone's just going to be concentrating on Antonio Brown, and I think it could have an effect on his game. Like, he's still going to be a top 10 guy, but I think it could maybe damage his numbers slightly.
All right, okay. I mean, taking a quarterback, that's quite high. I'd take a quarterback. I mean, I maybe thinking like number 6, maybe get Gronk in there just because it's Gronk.
Yeah. Well,
He'll be the target.
I consider putting Gronk in the top 5 over David Johnson.
Mm.
But then my
I was
problem
thinking
with
that as well.
Gronk always has at least like 1 week off with injury.
Mm.
Um, so I wasn't too too convinced by it. But um, who knows? I mean, I think he's gonna be good. All right, should we move on to our top 5 like surprise picks? Like,
Surprise bet. All right. Okay.
I don't know,
So
sleepers. Like,
just like yeah, I guess sleepers really. I mean, you get them like late rounds really. I mean, these are not the players. Obviously, like I'm not saying that if they drop all the way down there. Obviously, Jay Cutler number 1 here. I don't actually have Jay Cutler in this one, but I do have. Currently with Alshon Jeffrey injured, of another Chicago Bears receiver in Kevin White here.
oh,
If Alshon, this all right, if Alshon Jeffrey is injured as he is for right now, and he's maybe missing the start of the season, Kevin White would be their number 1 receiving target. Apart from Zach Miller, I guess at the tight end as well. But Kevin White would be getting a lot of share of the ball. Everyone's really hyped on him really, and there's expecting some big things from Kevin White. So I reckon this year, if you can get him,
I reckon he'll be like a good pick. I mean I think he still will get a fair amount of receptions.
mm,
And I think it also could put up Alshon Jeffrey's value that he won't have as many people like double teaming him because they'll have Kevin White to look out for as well.
yeah, I mean he's definitely not your number 1 receiver, but if you get him a number 2, or like some
Yeah.
rotationness, you can definitely get Kevin White. It's even to help out your team. Um, I reckon with if also with the going with like a breakout star kind of. If he wins, this is a bit suspect. All these ones for me really if they win the starting job basically, which is quite the issue. But I mean like Kevin White obviously number 1. Then with I've gone back to one British player in the draft. Got J.J., the running back for the Miami Dolphins. I reckon he can nail down that starting spot and just have Arian Foster in the back there, and then he's like obviously with Lamar Miller gone to Houston. I reckon with JJ there, obviously he's been in the team for a while now, and he's definitely getting used to the scheme there. Obviously with changing a head coach and that, but I reckon JJ for like a sleeper one, you can definitely get him a rotation in there for your running back situation.
Yeah, he could be good as the running back slash receiver position that you have.
If you're putting him in the slot, yeah.
Yeah, like I think I could still see him take like a lot of people think that Arian Foster might have the job nailed down, that he's looking good, but you still have the problem with Arian Foster that I think he's going to get injured at some point next season because it always happens.
And then JJ just there to step in.
Comes in and wrecks the floor.
Okay, then just going on to another one I have. I've got Frank Gore down here, basically just because it's only a sleeper, just because people don't have him rated highly, and I think that if the Colts are doing well, he's running the football, and he could come back to the Frank Gore that we know at the 49ers, and he could be one of the a star which develops in fantasy football. I mean, obviously they're going to run the ball a fair bit, and if Andrew Luck isn't playing as how he usually does, then Frank Gore's your man there. So that's the third one I have.
Okay.
Is that my third one? Yeah, the third one. And then I've got I'm contemplating between two players right now. I'll go for the one I have at number 5. The fourth one I'm not really sure about. So Giovanni Bernard, the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. The only issue here is with Jeremy Hill also there, but Giovanni Bernard is the one who's the real workhorse of the team, and he's the one who can he can break out and get those big gains and the breakaway touchdowns really. And if Jeremy Hill only really works well for the Bengals if the team is playing well, but Giovanni Bernard is always one making plays. If the Bengals, and like a lot of people think the Bengals are slipping off this year, I think Giovanni Bernard's a safe pick here. I mean, there could be and he catches the ball out of he catches the ball out of the backfield quite well. And if the Bengals are losing or struggling, they won't have Jeremy Hill in the game. They have Giovanni Bernard, which means more passes. So Giovanni Bernard could get some more passes out the backfield.
And also, Jeremy Hill still has that fumble lingering over his head
Mm.
that he had in the postseason. So maybe Marvin Lewis is thinking about that and saying, "Hey, let's give our boy Bernard a few extra snaps."
And I've got this one player which might surprise everyone here. I've decided I'm going to go for him. It's with a team who I always get hype on in the start of the season, and it is a Chicago's Bear player. And it's actually, if you're getting him in the late rounds, if you get this player with a new offensive line, with a bolstered offensive line, basically the Chicago Bears have got, Jay Cutler isn't a bad shout. I reckon the Bears are doing well this year. I've talked about Kevin White being explosive. They got Jeremy Langford there at running back. I mean, Matt Forte's gone. I think there's a lot more passing in this team than there will be. So there's a lot more passing yards to Jay Cutler and some passing touchdowns. I mean, if he's a rotation one, that's what we're looking for right now. Jay Cutler's your man.
I think Jay Cutler could be the man.
Jay Cutler is MVP, basically. If he's not picked up one.
I really wouldn't be surprised if Jay Cutler does have an improved season. That he's got. This is going to be the crucial season for him. That I mean, if we're looking from a fantasy perspective, he's got so many weapons around him, and he's got no excuse to put up some good points this year.
Well, that's why I got him. So I want to hear your ones actually.
All right, number 5, I have Dion Lewis, the New England Patriots running back. I feel like he's been quite forgotten about because he got injured towards the end of last season. And before that, he was having an incredible season. I mean, he was picking up yards per running. He was catching passes out the backfield. I mean, he was pretty much having a similar kind of season that Jeremy Langford was having. And he's similar to Langford, Forte, or even David Johnson. And I think he's going to go from strength to strength. And he in all the fantasy rankings, he's not very highly rated. And I think he's a guy you could maybe even get in like the 4th round or something. And then my 4th one is quarterback. Sadly, not from the Chicago Bears. I've gone different. I'm going down south to Nashville, to Tennessee, to Marcus Mariota. I rate Mariota really highly. I rate him better. I think he's better than. I think he's going to have a better career than Jameis Winston. Just because I like the way that he runs and he looks a lot more secure in the pocket. And he had a lot of injury trouble next year, but the Titans have addressed that and given him a brand spanking new offensive line, and they've also given him some really fun weapons to play with. And I think this all points to Mariota having a pretty intense breakout season. Where I mean, last season he had a really, really good rookie season, despite the fact that he missed a couple of games through injury. And you look at the weapons that he had; he pretty much had the slowest running back in the league. His most exciting offensive weapon was Delaney Walker, and then he had Dorial Beckham Green, but he was a rookie as well. So I think upgrade all of that. I'm excited. I think he'll definitely be a guy, and I think you could probably get him in the late rounds as well, and maybe stick him as a backup to start with, and I think see how he plays for the first couple of games.
I see that. I can see that happening. Yeah, I like it. I mean, Delaney Walker's one which we could talk about, but
yeah. My next one is actually a tight end, but it's not Delaney Walker. It's Cody Fleener.
Okay. Who did he sign for someone recently?
He signed for the Saints. This is why, because Drew Brees loves throwing to tight ends.
This is such a good shout, yeah.
And he played really well for the Colts. He had some pretty good games, and he put up some good catches. And I mean, if he's got Drew Brees, probably one of the most accurate passers in the league, who's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, got him throwing passes to him. I mean, that's looks like a pretty good option for him. And he's also, I mean, because you've got to look at all the other tight ends that are in the league who are ranked higher than him. I mean, he's ranked lower than Julius Thomas, Antonio Gates, Delaney Walker, Ladarius Green, Gary Barnidge, Travis Kelce, Tyler Eifert, Greg Olsen, Jordan Reed, and Gronkowski. So definitely a guy you can pick up in late rounds. And then at number 2, I have Thomas Rawls.
Sorry, who?
Thomas Rules.
Okay, nice. I see that.
I don't think I think he's been ranked quite low in a lot of the running back charts, um, and which is quite understandable because he's filling in the shoes of
Mhm.
one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah.
Um, but I think he's I don't think he'll be as explosive and put up the numbers that Marshawn Lynch did, but I think he could be a really good, solid running back to have in your team because the Seahawks like using the run game. I think they're going to shift more to a passing game next season, and I think that um, Thomas Rawls is the kind of guy you can pick up in a late round or maybe early rounds, but it kind of depends. But and then number one, this is I don't know whether this is like a surprise pick, but this is a guy who I don't think you should I think you should pick him earlier than you think because I think this is a guy who's going to come off the board pretty quickly,
Mm.
and that's Amari Cooper.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Um,
yeah. I expect him to be a little bit higher.
yeah, I think he could. A lot of people have him down as a third round pick. I think he could be gone in the second round type guy,
Oh wow.
um, because he's got a quarterback in Derek Carr who's a good thrower. He's probably the best natural thrower of the ball. Um, and he's a really good player as well. I mean, he shows that he's got a good relationship with Derek Carr, um, and I think he's going to put up some good numbers. And I think he's a guy you should definitely. I mean, take. I mean, I think he could be a number one receiver in a fantasy team.
Interesting. Right, there you have it, guys. Those are our picks for your. Maybe we'll see them in your team in our own league, and you guys are using our own picks against us. I mean, that would suck. But I mean, like, at least save Jay Carter for me, guys. Come on. That's all I'm asking for.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
your.
they're going to say Jay Cutler for you.
I'll see one guy picking it. Right, I think there's anything else we need to talk about for this edition of Between the Numbers. You?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, just a little reminder for next week, guys. I won't be on it, but Will be doing his own little predictions next week.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that works out. And then if the following week it will be my predictions, and we'll see, we can compare them the next week. I mean, like, obviously they won't be the final predictions. We'll probably have the final predictions out just the week before. The week before, well, like the season actually starts, and then you can hold us to that, all those predictions, until the end of the season. Then we can see how badly we did, or how great. I mean, obviously with Jay Cutler going MVP, we got it. All right, but I think that is it, guys. I think we'll see you next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Oh, that's gonna be a while. All right, see you later, guys.
Bye.